During our conversation in the first season, we discussed how the show's exploration of different cultures added depth and nuance to the world, even amidst the supernatural events. Now, in season three, with the characters united and working together, how do their diverse backgrounds, upbringings, and principles continue to inspire creative storytelling for you and your team? Like, how do these elements shape their unique approaches to tackling the threats that they face?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, from the beginning of conceiving the show, the idea was to create these characters from completely disparate parts of the world, different contexts, different nationalities, religions,
Mhm.
ethnicities, sexualities, all of it, to have them be very different for lots of different reasons. And then to eventually have them converge. I thought it would be either season two or season three, and now it's finally happening. And part of what for me is so exciting about season three, and what was so exciting about conceiving it and writing it, was the idea that as much as human beings are in conflict with the aliens,
Mhm.
what it would look like for human beings from completely different backgrounds to be in conflict with each other. And there's even more human protagonists this season that are introduced who also provide conflict. But the point of conflict for them would be their different backgrounds, their different experiences, which is separate from backgrounds, right?
Mhm.
And also it would be an opportunity for the places where they connect. Like Mitski's character and Travante's character are so different in so many ways. He's an American soldier who's lost his son. She's a Japanese scientist who's lost her lover. And so, on the one hand, completely different worlds. On the other hand, they can bond around the idea that they both have experienced profound loss. Um, and so that's the season for me, is about where do these characters collide, where do these characters connect. And in some ways the suspense of the season is because they're on a singular mission together, all these characters as one. If they can form a team and work together, then they can actually defeat the aliens and save the planet. And if they can't, then we might be doomed.
Right. Speaking of conflict, throughout this series, you've shown what I believe is a remarkable ability to write characters into seemingly impossible corners and then craft satisfying, often unexpected ways to navigate them, only to lead into new challenges. Have you developed a specific approach or art to this process, or is it more instinctual, relying on gut feelings and moment to moment creativity rather than meticulous calculation?
Well, thank you. First of all, that's really nice.
Of course.
That's really kind. I think finding sort of corners to push the characters into, and then ways to get them out, and then how that has a causal effect into putting them into a new situation with the experience that they just had. Some of it comes from um, studying my favorite movies. I mean, I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, at a time when I think that commercial storytelling or genre storytelling and certainly science fiction storytelling was at a peak level. You
Mhm.
had like peak Steven Spielberg. I mean, I guess Steven Spielberg's always been peak, but you
Okay.
had like Jaws and E.T. and Close Encounters, and the Star Wars movies were emerging, and some of the Star Trek movies and the Terminator movies. It was Back to the Future movies. It was just such an amazing um, uh, sort of education that I had as a little kid, skateboarding down to my local movie theater and watching some of these movies over and over and over again. I can't even tell you how many times I saw Back to the Future or Star Wars or
Mhm.
Terminator in the theaters. So there was that education of how to construct dramatic situations, and then one of the incredible gifts of working in television, which I had not experienced in my 20 years of working in features as a writer, is you have a writing team. And so we spend a lot of time, weeks and weeks and weeks, months, sitting in a room or sitting over Zoom for hours and hours every day, talking about pretty much exactly what you asked, talking about how do we paint our characters into tough situations, personally tough situations, and also logistically tough situations, right?
Mhm.
There's the emotional, personal side of it. Are they going to be able to overcome their differences? Are they going to be able to overcome their emotional baggage? And then there's the logistical. Are they going to be able to overcome this alien incursion, this, helicopter crash, this battle coming from an unexpected place. That's really a fulsome, great conversation that takes place over many, 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 many hours with 5, 6 really fantastic writers who, like
Mhm.
our characters, our writing staff comes from lots of different places and has lots of different experiences and points of view, and all of that we try to, meld into the show.
Yeah, yeah. There's a powerful moment in this season where a character says victories require sacrifice. I think the same could be said about creating great art.
Hmm.
What sacrifices do you feel like you've made to achieve success or create something that you're truly proud of? And are you at peace with sunsetting certain things in your life to make space for new creative opportunities?
What a great question. I feel like I'm in therapy. I think there's a few answers to that for sure. I mean, on the creative side, I would say sometimes I've sacrificed the opportunity to do more original work,
Mm,
for living in franchises and other intellectual property that I just love. Like I love Sherlock Holmes. I love Murder on the Orient Express. I loved the book The Martian. I love the X-Men. I grew up loving the X-Men. I love Deadpool. I love Star Wars. I've been incredibly blessed to be able to work in a lot of my like fantasy things I read or watched growing up as a kid. The sacrifice of that is that that becomes the focus of your time, and I bring all of my skills as a storyteller and whoever I am into that. Those stories are all very personal for me, and I could go through every one of those films and certainly the X-Men movies and tell you like this was the movie that was about my divorce. This was the movie about something else. But so there's the creative sacrifice, and then there's the life sacrifice, which we all do for our work, right?
right.
We all go to work every day, and we say goodbye to our family, and then we come home, and sometimes it's too late, and our family's asleep. And I got a lot of kids, um, uh, and in an ideal world, I could clone myself, and I'd be able to be at every single one of my kids' events and enjoy every moment with them. But the reality is, I've spent a lot of my time living in Canada or London or Budapest or South Africa or all over the world making the stuff I make, which is a joy and an unbelievable gift. And yet it also takes me away from home.
Right. Yeah. I know we're just about out of time, so I'll cut you loose on asking about crafting, how you're no stranger to crafting sci-fi worlds, as you already mentioned some of the things that you've been a part of with striking designs. Like, how do you and your team push each other creatively when it comes to designing this world's creatures, especially in capturing their unique, sometimes like plant-like appearances and
Mm.
movements?
Yeah, this season was the biggest challenge because we really wanted to create something extraordinary for the Apex aliens that we show this season, have them feel sentient, and have almost a personality to
Mhm.
them. And I wanted them to feel scary and dangerous and haunting, but also beautiful and ethereal and sort of mesmerizing. And that combination, we just, you have this amazing opportunity, when you make this stuff, whether it's a big movie or it's a big show, to work with hundreds of talented artists. So we truly had hundreds of artists giving us different renderings and different ideas. And I went through all of those images and took a piece here and a piece there. And Eric Henry, our visual effects supervisor, who's won Emmys, is an absolute genius. And it was just a process, much like writing, was just a process of iterations.
Mhm.
And taking a tendril from here and a head from there and looking at jellyfish and looking at all of these different reference that weren't just about aliens, they were about real plant and animal life that's on our planet. So yeah, we landed where we landed through a lot of trial and error and experimentation. I
Yeah,
so appreciate it. These were cool questions. Good
yeah,
good
of
to see you.
course.